So,
Right.
hello everybody. I'm here with my friend Crystal Parker from Savvy Beauty and Wellness. Hi, Crystal.
Hello, Ray. How are you doing?
I'm doing really well, thank you. And we're going to be talking about hormones and how they relate to weight loss or your weight loss struggles. Now, Crystal and I had a great interview early this February of this year where she broke down the very basics of hormones and hormone replacement therapy. So that's going to be a great video for you to review just to learn the very basics of hormones and learning how to rebalance them for yourself for just optimal health, better sleep. We talk about weight loss a little bit, but if you're just not feeling well and you feel like you've tried things nutritionally and you tried exercising and things still feel like something's off, that would be a good resource to watch. So today we're speaking more specifically in terms of how are my hormones relating to my weight loss efforts. So, Crystal, let's start off today with just the very basics in terms of what are some things that we can be looking at when it comes to the ability not to lose weight even after eating well and exercising.
Yes, yes. So what I'm finding, um, a lot of times especially as we age, we're dealing with insulin resistance that may, and usually with insulin resistance is one of those things that kind of take a long time until it catches up to you. And that's usually in midlife, which is when women start seeing the issue. So as it relates to hormones, there's a couple things. For one, as our estrogen starts declining, it starts to produce what we call centralized fat or belly fat. So a lot of women will come in complaining about this new belly that they have that they've never had before, even with doing the same things as working out, eating the same meals, not eating crazy, and they find themselves having kind of this pouch. Well, that could be because of declining estrogen. And as the hormone starts, through menopause, as the estrogen starts kind of leveling out the levels, then your body kind of goes through redistribution of that fat, and then you may find that you don't have the fat anymore. But it's really a struggle for women. The other thing is we become insulin resistant, so we can get a little bit deeper into exactly what that means. But our bodies just aren't able to process sugar as well as it used to, and then it starts storing it as fat, which then starts accumulating, and for a lot of people that is in the belly area again as well. So there's a couple different things going on when it comes to hormones and weight loss, including cortisol and stress and all the things.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Absolutely.
two, what I find that people don't really know. So when we talk about hormones and like how we were talking before, is that when
Mhm.
people think of hormones, what are the two main ones that they think of?
So usually when people think of hormones, I believe a lot of people know about estrogen, which is the dominant female hormone, and then testosterone, which is the dominant male
Right,
hormone. Right.
right.
And then
And then
when it
I
comes
think,
to,
yeah.
go ahead.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. No, I was going to mention how insulin, I feel that a lot of people don't know that insulin is actually a hormone as well. Isn't that right?
Yes. Yes, a lot of people don't know that insulin is a hormone, or they just think of, insulin having to do with diabetes, but really insulin is a big factor when it comes to our everyday life, how much, energy we have, how our bodies work, how our bodies process food. That is all dependent on, our insulin. And backing up to just going, the definition of what hormones are and what they do in general is all hormones do, they're chemical messengers that go throughout the body and just tell everything what to do. So I always show this display of like a lock and key, because it's really like we have these receptors for different hormones, everywhere from our brain to our skin. And if our skin is dry, and these receptors are waiting for the correct hormone to come by and kind of unlock it to tell it what to do. But when we don't have enough of that to go around, that's when symptoms start showing up.
Right. Yes, and if you're just joining us right now, Crystal and I were talking about the different types of hormones and how they are relating to your weight loss efforts. So, as Crystal was mentioning, different hormones have different functions in the body. Insulin being one of them. From speaking from my experience as a trainer, insulin does come up. People often talk about insulin sensitivity, and we want to think about how we can support that in terms of nutrition. And one thing that comes to mind is avoiding processed foods and all of these refined carbs, things that are very easily available to us. When we go to grocery shopping, we have these candies and sweets and a lot of treats, especially holiday season. I'm sure you agree, Crystal, that this time right now is actually especially challenging for people with insulin resistance or just trying to manage their blood sugar levels.
Yes, absolutely. And with that process of insulin resistance, what ends up happening is when we eat something and we eat something that's highly processed, so high carb, high sugar, then the body, all that glucose is in our bloodstream, and the body releases insulin in order to unlock the cells so that that sugar or glucose can go inside of the cell and give it energy, so it can be powered. You feel energetic, you feel satisfied, you feel full, et cetera, et cetera. Well, when that starts failing, our body starts releasing insulin, but nothing is happening. The cells aren't opening because our body isn't sensitive to the insulin anymore. That's where we get insulin sensitivity from. It's not sensitive to the insulin anymore. So the cells stay shut, that sugar stays floating around in the bloodstream, and it starts, as I said earlier, accumulating as body fat. Well, the cells still feel starved. They feel like they don't have enough energy. They feel like they don't have enough sugar. So they start sending out messengers to that it needs more sugar, more energy. So then that's when we continuously have these cravings that we can't seem to get rid of, because our no matter how much we eat, our body or our cells still feel like it's starving for sugar. So it's just like a vicious cycle that we have to stop. But the good thing is that, if you go on something like like a detox plan or something like that, you can pretty quickly kind of start ridding your body of these insulin spikes, and then you start to find that the cravings start to go away. But does take a little bit of work on your part, but it is something that can also, be reversed pretty easily.
That's good to hear. It's good. It's not something that's permanent for somebody. It's something that can change, but it's going to take some work. It's going to take some actions. And like I always say, you don't have to change your entire life overnight. You can just make these small habits, right? So let's talk about that. What are some other habits that people can do to support their hormones so that way it can it's helping them with their weight loss efforts and it's not working against them.
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing that people forget is hydration. So for one, keeping your body well hydrated is a big step. So just, the aim should be around 60 to 80 to 100 ounces of water a day. But as you said, small steps. So if you're currently not drinking water, start drinking water. Carry a cup with you. Aim for at least drinking one of those cups a day, getting through one. And then as you progress, next week, you're going to try to get through two until you can reach those goals. So the other thing that is going to be very important, and I learned this from wearing recently a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM is what they call it. And this is something that you may see that diabetics have more or wear, and where it's like a little dot that is on the
Mm.
back of the arm. And it basically showed me my glucose after everything I ate, how exercise affected me. And what I can tell you is that my blood sugar would go up for a meal. And if I took as small as a 20-minute walk after, it would shoot right back down, like almost to
Mm.
where it was beeping, like your sugar's getting too low. So just from a 20-minute walk, my sugar would go from 120 in 20 minutes down to 50 or 60. So it's really important, especially when trying to get your body back optimized, with the system working correctly, is taking short walks after you eat something, especially if you know you ate something highly processed, highly carb, etc. Another thing is going to be kind of taking these things away from yourself. So going on something, what I call like um, you don't necessarily need to do an anti-inflammatory diet, but it's something like a detox diet where you take away eating sugars, processed food. You're eating everything. You're cooking your meals. You're eating 5-6 times a day. Kind of taking those things away from you, and then maybe slowly adding some things back. But that seems to starve your body of needing all this excess sugar. So those are small ways to stop. And if you even do that diet for 7 to 14 days, you can really start to feel a difference, and then you start to see your cravings going away.
Yeah. That's a short time frame too. 14 days isn't that long to start feeling a lot better. I
Yeah.
think this is
Yeah.
important too, as I mentioned, with the holidays coming up, Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, all these things with parties, birthday parties. It's very easy to forget or to go off of a 14-day, let's call it elimination or detox, where you're trying to limit from those foods. What are some suggestions then for people who are like, you know what, Crystal, it's very challenging. I want to start doing this, but I have all this events and family things. What's something that could be reassuring for them to hear?
Well, I think it's just a matter of setting yourself up correctly. So, the kids are the kids may have their events, or you're having these office parties, and, just kind of maybe, okay, they have their candy, you take some and then you take the rest to work, or you take it somewhere else. You allow yourself a few pieces, not completely, um, just take things away from yourself if you're at least just trying to get through the holiday period before starting something bigger. I think have working with yourself to have small successes is an easy way to build up confidence for when you're ready to go a full 7 to 14 days detoxing yourself. So maybe during the holiday season, keeping limiting what you have in your house, because if it's not in your house, then you'll be less likely to eat these things. Keep the parties to that specific time, so you're not taking seconds and thirds home, you're not taking plates home that you're going to eat on later. So I think that's a way to kind of stay safe. Again, staying hydrated, getting your sleep is very important, so you're not stressed and then adding on stress eating calories and things like that. But I think just having a plan and being aware of your triggers that you have, and then setting a plan for those things. Maybe it's you're going to eat something healthy and sensible before, so when you get to your destination, you're not completely starved and eating
Yeah.
everything. Just having those, just knowing how you are, being okay with that, that you still have things to work on, but just working with yourself with those kind of poor habits that
Mhm.
you acknowledge but you're working on in the meantime.
Yeah. I appreciate that. It's more showing more compassion for yourself and more
Yeah.
patience in a way, rather than
Yes.
it's either all or nothing. It's like
Yes.
what can you
Yes.
do? Create that plan for yourself. Um,
Absolutely.
and that, yeah, that resonates with me so much. I I'm wondering now, so we kind of talked about these things that people can start doing to support themselves. What happens now? I know where you specialize in. What happens if people feel like they're doing everything correctly, but they still feel like something is potentially off, but they don't know exactly what? How can you help them with that?
Yeah, so um there's different types of, like, they're doing everything but so there's different avenues with that. So I'll speak to a couple of those categories. For one, there's people who just say, I have this insane, like, sweet tooth, and no matter what I do, no matter how much I try, I just find myself slipping back into the proverbial cookie jar, if you will. Then that would be something that I would probably after we exhausted the lifestyle changes or measures or tools, then we can look into maybe some medication that kind of helps us to better reverse that whole cycle of insulin resistance with medication. I would say medication is like a tool. We're just using it to um, make it easier. We do have a lot of stressors, especially if you're, parents doing all the things. So the medication is just a tool to kind of shut out the noise. So there's either, pills that can help regulate that system, or there's things like, our GLP-1s that can help to shut out the food noise, or if you will, and kind of calm the cravings down. So there's medicine from that standpoint. Then there may be someone who, let's see, there's also those people who can't get like that extra 5-10 pounds off. They're doing everything, and then they've just kind of found themselves with this extra weight that they can't lose, might not even be in menopause yet, still in perimenopause. That may be someone else that I look into a GLP-1 specifically, because that targets inflammation in the
Mhm.
body. And I've had a lot of success with women who, I've even had like trainers who train other people, they bodybuild, and they
Mhm.
can't get these pounds off, this inflammation. So they'll do a very, very low dose GLP, and it's been shown to take that extra weight off. And then there's other things like uh really just trying to work to decrease the inflammation in the body. I found that inflammation is a big thing. So and then we could look into, of course, um, um, optimizing the hormones. But I always like to tell women that, that's more of a longer game. It's not, we I replace your hormones and in a week or two you're losing weight. That's more of like getting that testosterone back into the body.
Yeah.
You're lifting weights, you're doing those things, we start to see more muscle mass and less
Mhm.
body fat. So that's more of like a 6 to 8 month game, I would say.
Yeah.
But we could get there pretty quickly with diet, lifestyle changes, and then the addition of medication as a tool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and that's good. Well, thank you for sharing that. 'Cause I know a lot of people when they hear that, there's often a lot of fear around things like GLP. GLP-1
Mhm.
or hormone replacement therapy. So just
Yeah.
having that awareness of, well, what does that process look like? I know it's really reassuring for them. Um,
Yeah.
is that what you see? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a lot of people who come to me who are fearful of it, and I really like to counsel them that women really do great when they are working with someone who can walk kind of hand by hand, side by side with them. That's why my program may not be as cheap as how, women can get it online. Or I always say when I give medication, when I do this and prescribe weight loss medication at the hospital, I'm giving it to those ladies and I'm like, see you in 3 months. Like, hope everything works out for you.
Good luck.
Text me and hopefully I can answer your email. But when women who are at my program at the clinic, I'm checking in with them.
Yeah.
I'm seeing, week to week how they're doing, if we need to
Right.
increase the dose, decrease the dose. And that's, why sometimes these programs that you may have to pay out of pocket for are a little, in the long run, they end up saving you and you kind of get to your destination quicker while I'm there to walk beside you
Mm.
and start. And it doesn't take 3 months for me to be able to start slipping in those lifestyle measures for you to be able to change to make the medication more successful and also make you more successful when you get off the medication.
Yeah.
So it's very important that you work with someone who can, be there. But once you do, the medication is great. It really
Right.
is.
It's
It's
like
one of
you're
my
just yeah, it's powerful. And you're really just paying for support and guidance from that. It's
Mhm.
like the difference of buying a gym membership versus buying a trainer. You're going to get someone who's going to take you through that journey and let you know and tell you here's what you're going to expect as we go along. So
Yeah.
I think that's powerful. I love that you do that.
Yeah.
Um, closing thoughts, and of course, if you're in this chat with us today, feel free to comment any questions that you might have.
Yes.
But what's one thing that we didn't cover today, Crystal, that if more people knew about their hormones would make a drastic difference in their life?
Yes, so I think to not be afraid of hormone therapy, try it out and see if it works for you. Is it's when we think about, hormone therapy, we are really, and when we think about it in the schema for women in birth control pills, like the hormones we're giving you is 1/10 of what is in birth control, but everyone's okay. And, it's normalized birth control, pills and contraception, but hormone therapy isn't. So it's 1/10 of that. And then,
Mm.
also with testosterone in men, a lot of men don't know that they can get testosterone as well. So men feel kind of the same ways women feel that bring them to me. And, women always ask me, can men do this too? Can my husband? I'm like, yes, I like capture the ladies and then they bring their husbands in. I don't even have
Right.
to advertise to men. But same thing, men are feeling, low, kind of just like blah about life. Libido might be in the tank.
Yeah.
Difficulty, for lack of a better word, getting an erection, keeping one. These are all real problems that we have. So I think that people should really explore hormone therapy if they're feeling um, just as many women say, I feel like the old new me, the old new me, better, more wiser, but still having your hormones and your vitality as if you were in your younger years. And I always say we're all going to age, but it's a matter of how we age that is going to make all the difference. So working with someone like you, Ray, and keeping those joints loose and really working towards, we didn't even get into how important strength training is. But in this age we should really be strength training, building those muscles, being flexible, eating healthy. And I just feel like that is all made easier when your hormones are optimized because you have the motivation, you have the energy, you have the just like confidence again, the thrive to want to live a healthier life going forward. So if you can resonate with any of that, or you just wish you just had like a boost of energy and confidence and feeling like your old self again, then I would definitely explore hormone therapy and how it can help you.
That is awesome. Thank you so much, Crystal. So yes, if you were checking out this video, remember, if you feel like your weight loss efforts have been not very fruitful for you and you've been doing the strength training, you've been eating well, I think it's time to check your hormones. So thank you, Crystal, so much for sharing your knowledge. It's always appreciated. And I can't
Yes.
wait for our next video for more
Yes,
topics on hormones.
absolutely.